¿Estáis preparadas? ¿Preparados? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. ¡Adelante, equipo! ¡Suerte!
There you go. I'm recording you now.
Oh, let me record you. Let's wait for each other.
We're going in. Ah.
Yeah. Well done, Vicky.
Hi, welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds. Okay, so today I have for you the third and final part of my World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship 2023 recap and my own personal experiences of that journey. So what I've done with these videos is I've gone through the whole week in Spain chronologically. So in my first video I covered everything from when I arrived in Spain, meeting my teammates Donnalouise, Janette and Jubie, all the practice we'd done leading up to the first day, which was the tour of Valladolid and the opening ceremonies. And then in that video, I also covered the puzzling on Thursday, which was all the preliminary individual rounds. Then in video 2, which I just released last Sunday, I covered everything on the following day's puzzling, which was the Friday. And that covered the semi-final individual rounds as well as the pairs preliminary rounds. And so in this video, I will be picking up from where I left off. So if you haven't seen those other videos yet, this one will probably make more sense if you go and watch those first. And I'll link them in the description below. Stay tuned until the end of the video because I have a little bit of time-lapse footage for you on a puzzle that I did just the other day, one of the WJPC puzzles from the group stages of the individual rounds. I did the Lupins puzzle, which was from group A, and I timed myself doing that. So I'm going to pop that at the end of the video. I'll give you my time as well and show you roughly where I would have come in the leaderboard on that one. And also at the end of this video, I do have some exciting news to share as well. So stay tuned until the end for that. So now just picking up from where I left off in the last video, I'm now going to be moving on to the puzzling that took place on the Saturday. Saturday covered a little bit of everything. So I am now going to pass things over to Past Me, where I will talk more about what happened. So the rough order of things on the Saturday was we had teams preliminary round at the start of the day. We had the individuals final, then we had the pairs final. By this point, I was just so happy to be there. The pressure of progressing had completely gone. We got as far as we could go. So that was a weight lifted. And I was just looking forward to being a part of it and to finally puzzling with my teammates, Jubie, Janette and Donnalouise. And on that subject, allow me just a moment to talk about our t-shirts. Now, Janette brought the t-shirts with her. She was pretty much responsible for all of the design elements of this t-shirt, and so she brought them with her. I ordered 3 because I knew I was going to wear them throughout the competition. So this is just one of my 3 t-shirts that I wore throughout. And this little bit on the back was where I pinned my little patches. So for an Australia day, I'd wear my little Australia patch. And for a UK day, I'd wear my little UK. And on the teams day, we were representing New Zealand for the teams. So Donnalouise had bought us all a necklace from New Zealand. And here's a picture of it. It was beautiful, lovely colours. We each had a unique one. So I wore that on the days that we were doing teams as well. But just to briefly go back to the t-shirt. So what we decided was that each of us would have a puzzle piece and that inside each puzzle piece would be an animal that represented our countries. So we have a kiwi for New Zealand, we have, for Donnalouise, we have a koala bear for Australia for Jubie, we had a dragon for Janette for Slovenia, and we have a lion for the UK for me. And they all connect together at the back. Our team name was called World Pieces, which is written proudly at the top here, and underneath we each had the name of our YouTube channel. So obviously mine is Vicky Makes and Builds, and then on the front was just our own individual jigsaw piece here. So for me, that was the lion. So as far as that day went, teams was the first order of the day. There were 2 groups, A and B, and we had 3 hours to complete 2 1,000 piece puzzles from a choice of 4 puzzles. Once you'd chosen your puzzles, you couldn't change your mind, and when you'd finished the first puzzle, it had to be put away before you could then start on the next puzzle. Now, world pieces were in Group B, but Group A had the following puzzles to choose from. There was Riverside Town, the Nights in Berlin Panorama, Ladies Brunch, and the Shell Collector on the Beach. We can see that out of the 5 top finishers in this group, 4 out of the 5 picked the Shell Collector and the Berlin Panorama. Non-Stop, who were in 3rd, also built the Shell Collector, but paired that up with Ladies Brunch. It is possible that the Berlin Panorama was the easier choice, given the way that the results panned out. The top finishers for that particular puzzle all finished in the mid 40-minute mark, whereas the top finishers for Ladies Brunch finished somewhere in between the 50-minute and 1 hour mark. Nevertheless, all of the top teams had amazing times, and in fact 4 out of the 5 of them finished the 2 puzzles in less than half the time they had to do it. And the ultimate victors were the team from the Czech Republic, Las Chicas Checkers, with a time of 1 hour and 20 minutes and 8 seconds. Incredible. So now moving on to Group B, and it was time to show the WJPC what world pieces were made of. Enter Orange Hell. Okay, so just before we talk about that, I just want to draw your attention to that slow-mo walk that we did. Obviously, we didn't walk in slow motion. I added that afterwards for dramatic effect. I'd had the idea earlier in the trip to film something like it for our videos and possibly for the Battle of the YouTube Puzzlers trailer. But we wanted to make it a wee bit silly and not too serious, so Donnalouise came up with the idea that we all trip at the end of the walk. I'm laughing because I remember I was trying to describe how I wanted them all to walk. I kind of obviously just wanted us to walk at a normal pace, but I wanted us to have fairly long strides and exaggerate the arm swing a little bit so that, you know, when it was slowed down, we looked as though we meant business. But I remember Donnalouise and Janette both saying, "You mean like this?" And they looked like they were in a musical or something. Oh, it was funny. We filmed it several times and just walking up that wee street in Valladolid, and I think it was one of the Australians that filmed it for us. Now, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but if he's watching, thank you for doing that for us and putting up with us just giggling, because we had to do it several times because we just kept giggling whenever we came to the falling over bit. It's hard to stay serious. But anyway, we got there in the end, and so that is the story behind the slow-mo walk. But I digress. So we were ready and raring to do our puzzles, and our puzzle choices for our group were the following. There was West Coast Tranquility, Burano, the 50s, and the A Day in Paris Panorama, aka Orange Hell. It's been a while, so I can't remember the exact conversation, but we decided to choose the Burano puzzle and the Orange Hell puzzle. I'm not sure why, but for some reason 3 out of the 4 of us decided that the panorama would be easy peasy, and one of us wasn't so sure. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Donnalouise. She wasn't so sure, but whoever it was, she was right. We started things off with the Orange Hell puzzle. This is how it came to be known after that group's puzzling was done, because we weren't in fact the only team that was caught out by that puzzle. It was more difficult than the Berlin puzzle because it actually had less going on in the sky, and so there were larger chunks of solid colour. And those blocks of orange just took forever, or at least that's how it felt. Many of the teams who chose that puzzle did not finish it, or as in our case, it took up most of their 3 hours that they had to actually finish it. Luckily for us, several people did choose it, and so in the overall rankings, we didn't actually do too badly, and we qualified in spite of not finishing the Burano puzzle. Here is the footage of us building both puzzles. So with the panorama, the puzzle was really in two halves. There was the landscape and there was the sky. So we sorted. Donnalouise and I dealt with the bottom and Janette and Jubie dealt with the sky. It was all going fine until all the obvious parts were done. Buildings, clouds, balloons, even the brighter sunset areas. But then we hit a wall with those oranges, the solid colour sections. It just seemed to go on forever. And 4 pairs of arms weren't necessarily ideal when reaching over to get pieces from boards that were on the opposite side of the table from you. I remember at one point Donnalouise really became the morale booster during this round. She encouraged us, she cheered us on. She even did a lap around the table at one point, which to my utter regret, I don't actually have any footage of. But I think we were all just getting a bit delirious by that point with the shape sorting and the trial and error puzzling we were doing. Donnalouise called it the Cinderella shoe method. So basically try every piece that it could be until it fit, which makes sense, but I had no idea what she was talking about to start with. Anyway, after a grueling 1 hour, 58 minutes and 9 seconds, we finished that puzzle. Already limping from that experience, we set to putting it away and starting to build the Burano puzzle. This one was far more manageable, but we only had just over 1 hour to complete it because we'd taken up so much time on the Paris panorama. And we came so close. There was much more moving around with this puzzle. Partway through, Janette and I swapped sides. You can see Donnalouise was up and down the puzzle, making sure everyone had the pieces that they needed for their sections. We finished up working on that sky, and that's where the remaining gap was. We only had 52 pieces left to put in, which, considering what a slog Orange Hell was, I don't think was too bad. Overall, we finished 34th out of 80 teams, and we qualified for the finals. We were so relieved. We worked really hard and honestly didn't finish up too badly considering that orange nightmare. Our biggest mistake, I think, really was just choosing the wrong puzzle. But I think we did work well as a team and we did have fun. We talked the whole way through, boosting each other, laughing with each other, and supporting each other. Here are the top finishers in that group. In first place were the Misfits from the USA, who finished with a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes and 46 seconds. We can see that 4 out of the 5 top finishers picked the West Coast Tranquility puzzle, and a favoured combo was that one and the Burano puzzle. The 4th and 5th place team built the 50s puzzle. I didn't bring home any of those puzzles from Spain, but I do now have both of the panoramas from across the two groups. Just here we have the Paris one, aka Orange Hell, and we have the Nights in Berlin. I'm actually looking forward to giving the Nights in Berlin a try. These were gifted to me, by the way, from Sam, who's one of my patrons. Thank you so much, Sam. I'm looking forward to doing the Berlin puzzle, but I'm still debating whether or not to do a ritual burning on this one. I don't know. Maybe I'll just give it some time and I'll have a go at it again, not under time conditions. But I do think I need some time. So anyway, that was the preliminary teams rounds over. And we were through to the finals, which meant that all 4 of us would ultimately be puzzling in every category at the championships, which was just so brilliant. But before we get to those though, which were on the Sunday, we had more puzzling to do on the Saturday. Now we were facing the individuals final. So because we were doing the final rounds at this point, we were facing puzzles that none of us had ever seen before. I no longer had the comfort of potentially pulling a puzzle out of that bag that I'd done before. The playing field was well and truly levelled and none of us had seen the puzzles. They are unreleased for the finals. And just as an aside actually on that point, I believe that those puzzles might now be available to buy. I'd heard not long after the championships that they were going to be available to buy soon after, but I wasn't entirely sure when. But I've been online browsing puzzles recently and I have seen them available for sale. So I think that they are now available to buy. and released for everybody. But what I will do is I will link all the puzzles in my description. So how was I feeling? I was feeling nervous, but I wasn't overly nervous at this point. I'd done a lot of puzzling up to that point. I'd got more used to the atmosphere, and there was no pressure to progress anymore. I'd got to the final, so I had no worries about that at all, which actually did make the whole thing a lot easier, took the pressure off a little bit. But I did want to do myself proud and get a good time, so I did my best, but I also made sure that I enjoyed it. The puzzle in question is this one. It's called Marzumemi Sicily. It's a very pretty image, and I felt that it was sortable. So that is what I did. It didn't come together too badly. I sort of soldiered through each of the piles of pieces that I had until I reached those chairs at the bottom. They were by far the hardest part of the puzzle for me, and I did have to shape sort towards the end. I didn't really mess about. I was like, right, this is going to be difficult. I'm shape sorting. And that's ultimately what helped me to get those pieces in as fast as I could. In the end, I finished the puzzle in 1 hour, 14 minutes and 43 seconds, which I was so happy with. And that placed me as the 149th fastest puzzler out of the 180 that were in that final. Not too bad for a first competition. I did mention this in my puzzle haul video, I believe, but that puzzle I brought home from Spain with me, but I didn't bring it back to Scotland. I left it in England with my stepdad, who really liked the image, and so I gave it to him. I did build it once more before I left England to come home to Scotland, but he has built it. He didn't time himself, but he really, really enjoyed it. So I'm really happy that he has that. So anyway, who was the winner in the individuals category? Well, it'll come as no surprise that the winner was Alejandro, who finished that puzzle in a time of 37 minutes and 59 seconds. This meant that he took home the prize of 1,000 euros for being the world's fastest puzzler, and he defended his title as well, having won it the year before. So huge well done to Alejandro, just incredible puzzling. Second place was Kristen, who finished it in 38 minutes and 32 seconds, meaning that she walked away with the 500 euro prize and also defended her title of the second world's fastest puzzler. And in third place was Marketa from the Czech Republic, who finished in 42 minutes and 34 seconds. And she took home the third prize of 250 euros. And here is the rankings for the top 10 fastest speed puzzlers in the world in the individuals category. So now we had to face the pairs final. So for the finals, we had to do a 1,000 piece puzzle, and we had 2 hours to do it. And boy, was that puzzle hard. I mean, just look at it. I actually now have this puzzle thanks to Alfonso. It wasn't one I brought back with me. I think Jubie took our copy home, but since then Alfonso kindly sent me a few puzzles that I didn't have, and this was one of them. It's called Boston, and it features artwork by Jack Otanio. Now, I actually really like this image. It's really bright and cheery, really colourful, but it is one tough puzzle to speedrun. Now, Jubie and I never did record our building of this puzzle, but here is a picture. As you can see, our board was totally chaotic. We flipped every piece and we just set to trying to find pieces that stood out to us. I remember grabbing blue and white striped pieces. I think Jubie might have worked on the edge, and either she or I picked out yellow pieces which made up that sky. We got the edge and the yellow sky together in fairly short order, but the other sections where it was just patterns that we were picking out and putting together, they were just bits of puzzle all over the place. It was such a busy image. The puzzle was just about starting to form and look a little like the picture when our time was up. We never finished it. Once we were done, we counted the pieces up into piles of 10, and ultimately we still had 402 pieces left to put in. So we managed 598 of the 1,000 pieces. Just over half, which, you know, I'm quite glad about. But if I tell you that only 9 pairs out of the 99 in that group finished that puzzle, it gives you some indication of just how difficult it was. Jubie and I ultimately came 88th out of those 99, which we were happy with, but honestly, we were just happy to be there, and we were so It was so good puzzling together. We had such fun doing it, and the rapport we'd built by then was just lovely. I'm going to miss puzzling with Jubie, like I really am. I have no idea when I'll next see her. We're on opposite sides of the world. But it really was lovely and a real privilege to be able to puzzle with her. And I'm looking forward to giving this puzzle another go, but not timing it, maybe next time. Hats off to all the people that did finish it. And speaking of that, let's look at the top finishers. So in first place with a time of 1 hour, 32 minutes and 18 seconds was Alejandro and Gisela. Now, I think I pronounced that right this time. I said Gisela before, but I think it's pronounced Gisela, so sorry about that. Anyway, Alejandro and Gisela came first place in the pairs, and so they walked home with the first prize of €1,000. Second prize winners were Sarah Schuler and Michaela Keener from the US, who finished it in 1 hour, 46 minutes and 37 seconds, meaning that they took home the €500 prize. And in third place were Teresa and Marketa from the Czech Republic, who finished it in 1 hour, 47 minutes and 24 seconds. And they took home the third prize, €250. And so there was still the team's final to play for, but that was the following day on the Sunday. Now on the Saturday night, if I'm remembering rightly, we got invited out for dinner with some of the other puzzlers. It was really, really nice. It was really quite posh. And it's probably the closest I got to eating actual Spanish cuisine while I was there. Up to that point, I'd eaten a lot of nachos and a poke bowl, and I think there might have been a burger in there somewhere. But I know a lot of people have asked me what kind of food I ate on the trip, and honestly, it was kind of the amount of Spanish food I ate was pitifully small. I had pork on that Saturday night, and it was really delicious. There was an appetizer that was really nice as well, that was like cured meats, and I think that that's actually a very Mediterranean thing, cured meats. They like those, don't they? So I think that that's popular in Spain, so that's something. And I actually did on the Monday, right before I flew home, I had some tapas for lunch. So I did get there eventually. Anyway, back to the Saturday night. We were invited out for that dinner, and then afterwards we went to a bar and we met some more puzzlers. There was quite a large Australian contingent, and that was actually when we filmed the slow-mo walk. I believe Alfonso was there as well, and Charlie, and it was just a really lovely night. We just relaxed, chilled, enjoyed ourselves. It was really nice to be able to socialise with the other puzzlers. So that was great, but it was another late night, not much sleep, but we were still excited for the next morning and puzzling together again for the team's final at 10 a.m. on the Sunday. So for the finals, we once again had to build 2 1,000-piece puzzles in the 3-hour time limit. However, we did not have a choice of puzzles. There were just 2 and we had to build them both. Again, because it was a final, they were unreleased images, so nobody else had seen them before. We hadn't seen them before. But I actually liked the fact that they took away the choice element, because after choosing so spectacularly wrong on the orange hell puzzle, it just made it a lot easier just to be like, yep, these are your puzzles, just do those. Fine, I can live with that, and everybody was doing the same ones. So the puzzles in question were this one here. It is an art collection puzzle, and it's a piece of artwork by Gauguin. I think it's called, now I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, it's called Aria or Aria? I don't know how you pronounce it, but anyway, that's what it's called, and it's artwork by Paul Gauguin. And the second puzzle was a puzzle called Puzzle People, which we all really enjoyed. I think of the 2 puzzles, that was the favourite for all 4 of us. First of all, before I show you the footage of us building these puzzles, let's take a minute to talk about the drums. So we were seated in the back corner of the puzzling area, right in front of the entrance doors to the dome. So we were about as close as any of the puzzlers could be to the sound of those drums coming from outside. If I remember rightly, there was some kind of sporting event going on in Valladolid that day. It was something like a marathon or a bike race or a triathlon, something like that. And they decided to celebrate the fact that this was going on by playing really loud drums for a long time. It was quite frustrating and off-putting, and it was probably a good job that you couldn't hear us on the live stream, because you probably would have heard a fair bit of swearing. However, we didn't let it put us off, and here is the footage of when we did these puzzles. We started working on the art collection one, and so we all basically picked a corner of the puzzle and worked on whatever colours were in that area. Donnalouise with that red dog, which was deceptively difficult, by the way. I started off with the white dresses. Jubie did the yellow up in her corner, and Janette, I think, worked on the dark blue. So we did sort the puzzle. At some point in the proceedings, Donnalouise had begun to get quite frustrated with that dog, and she and I swapped places, and I took over with the dog. It was actually quite difficult, and I shape sorted pretty quickly with that, because I don't know if it's because it was an art collection puzzle. There wasn't really much by way of a texture to go on, so all the pieces just kind of looked the same. A leg piece could have been any of the 4 legs or even the tail. It was actually harder than it looked to do that dog. Eventually, after we'd put all our wee sections together, we were just left with a few gaps, little patches, and we had the pieces organised on those amazing boards that Donnalouise brought with her. So we filled them in pretty quickly, and then we were on to the next puzzle, which was Puzzle People. Before I just go into some analysis on how we built that puzzle, I just want to mention again the singing. I remember during that round, it was when we were doing the art collection puzzle, I think, Donnalouise had started singing a song. So when Donnalouise had been puzzling throughout the competition, she'd been wearing headphones, and it transpired that she had been listening to Live at Las Vegas by Imagine Dragons. And I love Imagine Dragons, so I'd found a fellow Imagine Dragons fan, and Donnalouise started singing just out of the blue one of their songs, and of course I recognised it, and so I joined in. Now, in my head, it all sounded really harmonious and nice. Maybe Jubie and Janette will be watching this, shaking their heads and going, nope, but anything was better than those drums. So Donnalouise and I have since discussed this, because I couldn't remember what the song was that she'd started to sing, and we think she might have started to sing the song Follow You. So and I'm pretty sure it was, so I joined her with that one, and that was really nice. So there was more singing that went on during that trip. But anyway, let's move on to Puzzle People. I really did enjoy this puzzle. We flipped all the pieces for this one and picked out whatever patterns stood out to us. I can't remember what I started with, but lots of wee bits began to come together pretty quickly. I think Donnalouise worked on the edge, and I soon had some bits that attached to the bottom edge. Eventually, it began to form into a cohesive puzzle, and we were rolling. This one, to my mind, was the perfect one to do as a team. There were just so many patterns on all those jumpers that we could all work on separately, and then whenever we'd happen across a piece from an area that a teammate was working on, we would just pass it along to them. We were good at keeping the communication going, so it worked out really, really well. And then it was super satisfying when you realised you were working on a bit that went together with another bit that someone else was working on. And near to the end, the gaps that remained were all over the puzzle. So that was good, because it meant that all our hands weren't concentrated in one spot in the puzzle. The gaps were everywhere, so one of us could focus on the gaps nearest to them, and so on and so forth, and it just came together really, really seamlessly, I felt. And I was so happy that we finished our 2 puzzles within the time. We finished them with a time of 2 hours, 27 minutes and 27 seconds, which ranked us the 39th fastest team out of the 99 in that round. Looking at the top 3 winners, in first place we had Las Chicas Checkers, who finished them in 1 hour, 30 minutes and 25 seconds. Second place was the Misfits, who finished it in 1 hour, 33 minutes and 25 seconds. And in third place was Non-Stop from Spain, who finished the puzzles in 1 hour, 37 minutes and 16 seconds. So they went home with their prizes, which are all the same amount across the rounds. So first place in individuals, pairs and teams was €1,000. Second was €500 and third was €250. Also, the top 10 puzzlers received Ravensburger puzzles as prizes as well. And that, as they say, was that. The only other thing that was to be done was the award ceremonies and the closing ceremony at the end. The award ceremony was pretty informal, similar to the opening ceremony. Lots of people there. There weren't sort of seats in rows where you were facing the front. Everybody was milling around, talking. There was cheering, there was support, and everybody was just happy for everybody and had a great time. It really was a lovely, lovely event to be a part of, and I think it's only going to get better this year. And speaking of the WJPC 2024, registration is now open for that. It opened on the 1st of January this year. And the last I checked, which was yesterday, it already had 790 individual participants registered, which is more at this point than there were total at the Worlds in 2023. Just incredible how word is spreading about this event and how popular it's becoming. Unfortunately, I am not one of those participants. I won't be able to make it to Spain this year for lots of different reasons, but you can bet that I will be cheering on my teammates from 2023, Donnalouise and Janette, who are both going again. I don't believe Jubie's going to make it this year, but I will be cheering them on and I'll be with them in spirit. And I can't wait to see how they do. And just to say, Alfonso, I am available to do commentary on the live streams remotely if you need me. Just saying. But I will definitely attend the championships again at some point. It has been one of the best experiences of my life, and I do not exaggerate about that. Seriously, if you are on the fence about going, or if you're thinking about going but you're not quite so sure, I would encourage you to do it. It's just such a great event. It's so, so good. Even if you're not a speed puzzler, it doesn't matter. You still go and you have fun, you enjoy doing the puzzles and just being with other puzzlers. It's the best thing. And Valladolid is a really beautiful place as well. If you are planning on making the trip, I would suggest that you go check out the website, the WJPC 2024 website. It's really comprehensive. It has all the information on there that you could want. It covers the rules, it has a list of the participants, it's where you go to register for all the events. They keep you well informed of what groups you're going to be in, and it also has all the info on the results and the puzzles from previous years as well, which is great. I, of course, am happy to answer any questions if you have questions that can't be answered on that website. Somebody did ask me a while ago how far in advance should they plan a trip to the Worlds, and all I can say is I think I planned mine around about 6 months in advance. A lot depends on how far you have to travel for it. I had my flights to book. Donnalouise dealt with the accommodation for us. But there are plenty of hotels that you can stay at that are walking distance to the venue. But it is getting busier each year, so maybe think about that when you're booking, or if you decide to go, maybe get a room in quick because it's getting more and more popular. But once you've got your travel sorted and a place to stay, you're pretty much good to go. It wasn't really too difficult for me doing all that practical stuff. For me, the juggle was trying to sort out where the kids could go while I was there. It doesn't fall during the summer holidays here in the UK, so that was a little bit tricky to sort out. But so I suppose there's considerations like that. But yeah, it took me about 6 months to plan it all, and that was plenty of time. Just to say though, I am still speed puzzling this year. I'm not going to stop that entirely. I love it. I've really caught the bug for it now. So what I hope to do is to visit the British Championships this year down in Newmarket. They're in June. Registration isn't open for that yet. It doesn't open until the 1st of March, but I do intend to register. And get this, who's coming with me? Janette! Janette's coming as well. So we're going to puzzle together again for the pairs at the British Championships. I'm so excited. She just recently got in touch with me to tell me that she wanted to come. And I'm so happy that I'll get to go and see her again and puzzle with her. So there is more speed puzzling on the horizon for me. So I'll still be putting out plenty of practice videos and getting excited for that trip as well. I just want to close things off in this video by saying that a few people asked me questions. It was a while ago, but I've looked back at them and I hope that I've answered all of your questions just throughout all of my videos on this. If I haven't, then please do feel free to ask again or leave a comment. Overall, I just love the event. The puzzling, the commentary, the social aspect. I thought it was organised incredibly well. I was nervous, of course, but for me, those nerves and that competition atmosphere really seemed to bring out the best in my speed puzzling, and those were some of my best times at that competition. It also helped though that I sort of managed to predict what puzzles were coming quite well, and I subsequently ended up doing a couple that I'd done before, so that does help. I want to try and do that again this year, even though I'm not going. I want to see if I can do some speed puzzle practice on puzzles that will come up again this year. That would be fun. Just see how I do on that. See if it was a fluke or if I have some kind of a knack for just figuring out what's going to come out. I wouldn't really change how I prepared for it, except to say that I would like to do more practice, and I want to try and do more different techniques because I really relied wholly on sorting, and I do still think that that's the way I puzzle faster, but if I do the full flip method, for example, more and just practice that more, maybe I can get some better times if I just actually get out of my comfort zone a bit and try some different methods. So I'll give that a try as well. I also found it really useful in the run up to the Worlds, filming myself doing the speed run in real time. I picked up on so many things that I was doing, you know, that I could improve. So I think that that's a useful thing to do as well as practice for future speed puzzling events. Also maybe want to try not just sitting for the whole thing. I'm happy to stand up when I'm speed puzzling. I can see the advantages in that in terms of your perspective and the amount of pieces you can see. But I cannot stand for too long before it starts to hurt my back. So I might just try a mixture of sitting and standing. There was actually people at the Worlds who stood with one foot propped up on a chair often when they were puzzling, which was actually maybe quite a good idea, offers you that extra level of support when you're standing up, so I'll maybe even try that. So we'll see how that works. Anyway, I digress. If you have any more questions for me, please do leave a comment and ask away. Thank you so much for watching and waiting for this video. I know it's been a while, but better late than never. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you aren't subscribed. Become a member or a patron if you want to see any of my extra content. And as always, leave a comment with your thoughts. And I will see you in the next video. Happy speed puzzling, everyone. Bye.